All right, so let's continue on with our mailer. We have our movie controller. This is what executes the mailing program. So it calls our user mailer controller and this action, and we're passing it some data that we might need in our newsletter mailer, and then we call the deliver method on that. So that goes to the newsletter inside of our user mailer, and we receive that data that we can do stuff with, and this actually does the mailing. And this uses a view that defines what the heck this whole email is going to look like. Okay? So I could say, well, we'll just leave it like that. So the problem that we had yesterday was it actually sent the mail. We could see it in the log. This is the actual mail that got sent. It's got a message, a date, from, to, etc. But the action of my mail from my movies, when they clicked on mail, this is supposed to go to some view, right? Like index goes to a view. It has a view associated with it. I don't have a view associated with my mail, but I don't really want one. I want to redirect now, tell them that the mail was sent. So a better way to do this would be to redirect this page. All right, so we're going to redirect to the movie and pass along, basically like this. We're going to pass along some information in the notice portion, which shows up in the Flash. That's using the Flash system. Remember that? So we're going to redirect to our movie. Going back to, where does that send us then? No. It's the movie detail, the show page for the movie, right? And then we're going to say something like email sent. All right? So let's see what that looks like. So if I'm in my redefining sexy technologies and I click on email this movie, it's going to do the email and then redirect me back to this page, and it says email sent. There you go. Isn't that great? So in my code, in my log file here, if I go to the bottom, it says there's my email. So I can see that my email was tried to be sent, although this information is wrong. There's no addresses here for this. And it says hi, and it used the title. And then I'm redirected back to my movies at the end of that action. All right? Isn't that great? So the email actually gets sent, and we'll talk about the to and the from here in a minute. But I noticed that we started getting this deprecation warning, and it says that the confirm option is deprecated, and you see this a lot, which is irritating. And it's going to be removed from Rails 4.1. So they tell you what you're supposed to do instead. So the problem was that we used that confirm code in the method for my movie's show page. Right. That creates JavaScript. So this is the, where did we do that? That was our delete here, right? So this is our delete, and they want us to do something like this instead, where we put in the text that we want to display in place of that. And wait a second. Come on. Oh. Yay. Okay. So we changed that to this. This helps with jQuery and the new way to look up things based on this data property that you'll find out more about if you take 217. They have this data property that you use. So that should do the same thing. That was all for the linking, for deleting a comment. So let's reload our page. Delete the comment. Says, are you sure? Yes. Redirects, deletes my comment. Beautiful. Okay? So that should take care of the deprecation warning. I shouldn't see those anymore. So it's a good idea to watch your log file because they tell you about those as you're running your application. Alrighty? So let's go through the email again and add some capability to our movies index page. So on this page, I might want to send information about a movie to maybe all the users that I have in my table, something like that. All right. So again, I was going to try to draw this on Notepad and see if this worked okay. We'll see if this works. We'll see if I can do this. I'm not used to using this. So for the mailer, the action mailer, it still tries to follow the model view controller. So the controller is my user. Whoa, look at that. My user. Woohoo! See, I'm not used to printing either. User mailer. That's my user mailer, and inside of that we have some actions, right? And so we might have an action for newsletter. So that's about as good as I draw on the whiteboard, right? So then we need to have some way of executing that action, right? So in one of our other controllers, and in this case I did it in my movies, we had views associated with that. So I had a mail movie link here, which called an action in here for my mail action that called the deliver action on my mailer over here. So that deliver ended up calling this action here. So when they clicked on my link, this is a link, they click, this mail movie executes my link inside my movies controller. This is my movies controller. See, I'm getting better. This mail, when I call the .deliver method, whoa, look at that. What was that? That was cool. Now I can't do it again. That was, shoot. All right, anyway, let's see if I can erase. Look at that, I can erase. Look at that, sweet. All right, me and my new toys. Now I need to erase that. No. So the deliver calls this method over here. All right, and in this I can pass some additional information, like I passed in my movie object, right? And then my movie object was available over here, so that I could create my letter finally, my email with all of the information about the movie. And the movie then goes down to the model. So I still have my model in here too. So that comes from the model. Actually, it goes the other way. All right, does that make sense? Look at that. It looks like a second grader drew that. Which one? Which one?
On the email that you guys sent out, sending the movies, and you drew a picture there so we would know.
There. There's a picture. That's the movie. All right. So that's... No, you get it. Yeah, good. So everything has to start with some action over here. Some action has to happen to trigger this whole concept. So we need to add a link. If we're going to do this, we need to add a link to our index page. So we're going to add a link similar to this to our index page so we can mail a specific movie, like an administrator might want to mail a specific newsletter, which is part of your assignment. All right? That's kind of fun. I might get used to that. Yeah, because then you can't see it, right? So at least you can see it. It's a little childish, but... So in my movies index page, let's add a link in here and add a new, maybe an admin only function. That was bad. Come on. A new header, and then we'll add a new link here. Basically, we'll copy and paste this guy. And the link is going to be to our new mail method, right? So, that we just created. So I'm going to go to my show page and copy the link from there. This is the email this movie link. So inside of here, I didn't need to copy that, I guess. I'm going to paste in, and to make it shorter to fit in my columns, I'm just going to say email. And we're going to call the mail movie path that we created in our routes, and we're going to pass in the specific movie. Now, in this case, we're looping through all the movies, right? So it's not at movie. What would this be?
At movies.
No. The movie, because that's the local variable object of all of our movies, because we're laying these out one at a time, right? So this should just be at just movie. All right? So let's go and look and see in our index page. If we have a new email, and of course, here it is, down here. So if I click on this email, this particular movie is 258. You can see down there, 258, right? And we're going to email that, and the movie path now says movie/258/mail, which is our movie mail path, and that's going to go to where? Do I need to refer back to my picture here? Yeah, this thing here on the top, right? So this is my mail movie path. That's what's going to be sent here. So it's going to call my user mailer with a newsletter of this particular movie and send out the movie. All right? And at this point, it's going to go into the detail page, but that's a minor issue. We might want to have a different method to email from the index page, because now when I click on that, it'll actually email it. It should email maximize synergistic interfaces. So I click email, it goes fine, but it's going to redirect me to 258, the show page for 258. See? Much better. No, this is a different issue. These guys didn't have any comments, I think. Yeah. So let's go down to 257. Yeah, we'll skip that problem. Okay, so it came over here. It said email was sent. So it sent email 257. So it says a whiteboard best of breed e-markets, so which is just really useful. So we go look in our log, and I should be able to see that. If I scroll up, I get, hi, whiteboard, best of breed e-markets. So it sent that particular mail directly to that person. Okay, everybody following that now? So let's go back to my picture. So when we clicked on the link, that called the mail movie action in the movies controller, which called the mail deliver, passing in the movie object. That comes over to our user mailer. The newsletter action that received the movie object, and then that movie object was used to create my mail text and email it out to the user. All right? Isn't that great? Braveheart. Where? This guy. Yeah, that's Braveheart right there. All right, fine. So, how about if I want to email it to everybody in my users table?
Your users table would have to exist.
Yes, your users table would have to exist. Good point. Very good. So I have a user table here. I think I have a couple of people in there, don't I?
We'll see. It should be you. You're not an admin account, at the very least.
So I've got two guys, okay? So let's create a new method that happens when they click on this. Instead of calling this is like a single mail. I want to email everybody, right? So I'm going to create a new method. Yeah, spam, right? That's fine. We'll call it spam. All right, we're going to spam this information. And I need to do this in a loop, right? So I need to create, first of all, a new action route. So let's create our route first. So in our config route, we did something like this. Let's do something like movie/spam. And this is going to be calling the spam controller action in my movies controller. And we'll call it spam movie instead. Which, by the way, I heard today that Monty Python is making a comeback. They're going to do a show in London with their old crew. I thought, this is a good day. This is a good day. Monty Python. I love Monty Python. 30 years ago, yeah. Isn't that amazing? So, they're funny. They're funny. You have to have a taste for it. It's like,
You have to like things that
yeah, right, exactly right. It's like
You have to let your inner geek run wild.
it's like Larry, Moe, and Curly. That kind of humor.
Stooges.
It's Three Stooges. There you go. You have to have a taste for it. I don't have as much a taste for that as I do Monty Python. But anyway.
And now for something
let's
completely
talk about
different.
Doctor Who.
All right. So this is my method inside of Rails that I can use. I'm going to call my spam movie path. So in my index, instead of emailing one, I'm going to call my spam movie path for that particular movie. All right. Which comes into here. So my movie is still set. I need to have a specific movie, and this is going to be called spam movie path. So what I have to do here is I have to get all of the users, and I have to loop through and send an email to each one, right? So I'm not just sending one email, I'm sending a bunch of emails. So how do I get all of the users? All right, do I have in here a link that says they want a newsletter?
You should have.
You guys should.
If you did the assignment right.
Yeah, you guys should. So I don't have one. So to get all of them, I'm going to say something like users equal user dot all. Now, you guys would do something like what? How do I get how do I create a query? Okay. An easier one is the where, right? I can just use a where method. And I can say where my newsletter equals true. Newsletter is not equal, it's is true, like that. All right? So that would give you all of the users. So now what type of data is users? No. An array of user objects, okay? So it's a bunch of user objects. So I'm going to change this to all so I can actually get something. And I need to loop through those. So how do I loop through them? Users.each do pipe. And what is user singular? Good. All right. Now, the problem with this is I want to send two pieces of information to my newsletter here. So I have to send not only the movie so I can create it, I need the user so I can use the right to address, right? I need to get their email address. So I'm going to pass the entire user object here to my newsletter program. All right, any questions on that? Well, I'm thinking about there's an issue with this, so. So I'm going to pass in the user. I'm going to receive the user on this side, right? And instead of mailing to, how am I going to get user.email? There you go. And the movie, I can pull other stuff out of the user object if I want to create my mail. All I have to do is create them as instance variables. Why do they have to be created as instance variables? Because they could be available in the view, which is my mailer here, for that particular user. So what's going to happen is back on my controller, it's going to loop through every single one of them, and deliver a new email for that particular user using the same movie object that I got before. Now, the problem is that my newsletter now takes two properties, and I never did that up here. I'm assuming a few things here. So how do I know who wants that movie if they click on this link? It's who is asking? There you go, the authenticated user. The user, so it would be the current user. All right, that's the user object of the guy that's logged in. And he can't get to my mail anyway unless he's logged in. So that should be pretty safe. So from that still will work. The user email will still get pulled from his logged in user object.
So this is assuming that the email is email yourself.
Right. There's a lot of assumptions. Right. And usually you don't want to allow typical users to email to everybody else, because then you end up being a spam site. People can use your program to send email to anybody else. So you got to be careful there. Yeah. All right. So let's see if this works. It's going to scroll through, and when it's finally done, I want to go to, I don't want to go back to a specific movie. Let's go to the movie's path. So we want to redirect to the movie's path, which is the index action of my movies controller, right? So I'm going to redirect back to that when all the letters have been sent. All right? So we go to our index page, which I don't have a nice way to get back there. I don't have a movies link up here, so I should put one.
I did just so I didn't have to keep retyping in just.
I said go back. No. Time for a proxy break. Pause. I can't pause. If I pause, it will screw everything. I need to pause before I click on Sean's nifty little program here. Any questions while we're waiting for my proxy to fix itself? No, I didn't know that. Let's. Is that what they call product placement? Let's have a product. No, this is product placement. In my video, this is a picture of my book that's coming out, just so you know. How do you, it's really mine.
The horse is dead, Dave. The horse is dead.
I think that's great. All right, so we're going to send out the whiteboard, best of breed, whatever. And now this one goes to my spam instead. We got a problem. So my movie ended up being wrong. So if you noticed back in the link, it said spam.257. So I need to change my route, all right? The route is wrong here. So let's go back to my route. And I need this ID of the movie in here as well. So that I put it back up here. Now it knows it's a movie ID because of its position. So that should fix that. So now when I hover over it, it says movie/257, which is movie that ID, and calling the spam method. Calls the spam method and works perfectly. See that? So my movie.name is not coming through right. I do. So let's trace this through. In the controller, it's calling my spam. Oh, why am I not? I see it. Why am I not getting in that movie here? This is a good debugging for you guys.
Redirect you at movie because it was in a loop that was using movie.
No. Where is this defined inside of this method? But if I look up here, where is this defined inside this method?
Under mail. Yeah.
Your brain's exploding. Do you see why? Remember that we have this before action that sets that movie variable for us, but it only works on these methods, which we added mail. So I have to add my spam up here. So now it's going to work. Guaranteed to work.
Oh yeah.
Now we're all hoping for a crash.
Now you gotta set your proxy again.
No, it's coming. It's coming. Wait for it.
Listing movie.
Didn't send my notice, but
I don't think we set it on that one.
no, I did. Oh, yeah, I did. But let's go look at our log. So this one sent to Dave at SCC, and this one sent to Dave at Lockersoft. So it went through both of them and sent two separate emails. Right? So it worked fine.
So the question is, are you actually going to get those emails?
No,
Oh, okay.
no. For a couple of reasons. One is the fact that the school blocks email here. If you did it at home, it would work if we fixed some things. We have to fix some things to make it actually send the email.
Could you make it so it's blind carbon copy all of them instead of sending each one?
You could. Yes. Yeah, actually you don't. The email could be blank, the to could be blank, and the BCC can be set. So that is possible. I think it's going to get through more spam filters if you have an actual to address that is that person. Yeah, and so you're going to send me a BCC, but all right. So it's working. The only problem was this notice didn't get set. At least I didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't see it. And it's yeah, that's going to be yeah, exactly right. So I don't have a flash on my index page. So I do on my show page where I send this notice, right? I don't have it on my index page. So I'd have to add that to see that notice come through. Oops. I don't want that inside of my H though. All right. So any questions on that flow? Once again, we have to link, we have to call it somehow. That goes to some action in our controller that we actually deliver and pass some information to. That goes to our user mailer that takes that information and renders out an email to the people. Maybe going and getting stuff from the model. Maybe. So let's go look at the mail guides some more. There's some information in here about how you have to change some, and it talks about attachments, multiple recipients. I can send to a bunch of them. That's a weird way to do that. Views, we talked about the views. Oh, here's an interesting problem. If you ever put a link in your message, you want to send, instead of, you might say movies path in our views that we have, but in an email, that's going to render like /movies/257 or something like that. If I want to go back to the specific movie, I need a fully developed URL with the site name in it. So those special paths that are given to us in the routes, all I have to do is, instead of saying _path, I put _URL. And that makes a fully qualified, and so inside of an email like this, to describe that a little better, in my view for my mailer, I could say something like link to movie URL, something like that. And that's going to create a fully qualified link. It has to be in an email because there's no context of a website there. So that's a side rabbit trail there. Yes, yes. You can make HTML emails. And what's nice is, to do that, the only thing I have to do, since we're on that, is notice that this says newsletter.text.erb. If I want to send an HTML version of this, I would call this newsletter.html.erb. So let's just do that, and you'll see that. I'll copy that view from my mailer. So if I copy this guy and paste it, and we'll call this HTML, then this will come out as an HTML page. So I can say, I can put things like this. H1. And etc. So when I send the email now, it will send both versions of that email. Well, supposedly. Okay, so in a URL, I have to have the host parameter, so this is a little more complicated. But my host, there's let's just take that out for now. We have to set this host, so let's just call this movie path instead. So you'll see that it comes out wrong anyway. Really?
It's Rose.
It's time to go.
That's what Rose does. That's why I want
That's why it's railed.
my freaking laptop into my desktop. Oh. If you do that a few more times, it'll randomly work.
Shoot. All right, let's just take this link out. I want to show you the HTML. Come on. You got to see the HTML.
The tiny rails thing where
The tiny rails.
turn it in and it'll fix all your code for you.
Oh, the problem is I've got it now in two places. That's the problem. Let's just take it out of both places. All right, so it sent the email. Now I'm getting my flash. I can look at the log. And it sends a multi-part MIME so that your email gets both a text version and an HTML version of the letter. So depending on the user's email client, it will display an HTML or text. Isn't that great? So all I had to do was change the extension here, and then I can use HTML in it. And it sends both, right? Isn't that sweet? So that was, we got sidetracked. There's another piece, but you guys want to go, so we'll stop. You can read this if you want to actually send the email. It's got information about what you have to send. You have to set some properties in the page. So I'll stop